All right, welcome back to Detroit Lions Live at A to Z Sports. I'm Mike Payton. I'm your host. Let's talk about some Lions stuff. We're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to talk about the thing I think everybody has already been asking me about in the last hour, and that's Matthew Judon, who was just released from the Miami Dolphins. I know Lions fans are, hard up for an edge rusher, and that's kind of the thing that they want more than anything in the world. And there's some questions about whether or not maybe the Lions could put a claim in for Judon and if Judon would fit. And I got to say, no, I really don't. I don't see the fit here. I don't, maybe a couple years ago when he was when he was first leaving the Patriots, I thought, well, that would be a good fit. And it probably would have been. But now Judon is, it's kind of done for him at this point. He's played all year for the Dolphins. And it's not been like a thing where he's coming off the bench, although he has, he started some games too, but he's played a lot of snaps. We're talking 30, 40 snaps a game. He's really generated nothing for Miami, 10 pressures all season long. I don't see how his addition could really help the Lions at this point. Maybe they do it to get an extra body out there, but I think and you're going to hate when I say this, but I think they feel more comfortable with Marcus Davenport. And I think, honestly, at this juncture, Davenport, even though you might not believe it, is a better player than Judon at this juncture, at this point. So that's my answer to this thing. I don't see Matthew Judon being claimed really by anyone. I think that he goes right to free agency. Maybe he signs somewhere. I'm sure the Eagles will pick him up, and then everybody will jump to Twitter and say Howie Roseman's a genius, and then Judon will retire like 2 weeks later, and that'll be that. So that's all I've got on the Matthew Judon front. But moving on, let's talk a little bit about Sunday's game against the Rams. I made maybe a little bit of craze when I said the Lions didn't play as bad as people think they did, and I really believe that. I look at this game, and I think it really comes down to which team played better in 4 quarters as opposed to 3 quarters. And I think for 3 quarters of this game, the Detroit Lions were the better team. It's as simple as that. If this game ended after the 3rd quarter, maybe the Lions win. Or actually, if this game didn't count the 3rd quarter, the 3rd quarter didn't exist, and it went 1, 2, and 4th, the Lions win this game. But that 3rd quarter, it was really bad. And that made all the difference in the world. What's crazy is that the Lions offense runs 8 plays in that 3rd quarter. And I know what Dan Campbell was trying to do, and he explained it after the game, and he explained it again on Monday. They wanted to run the ball. That was their prerogative, their Bobby Brown prerogative, if you will. They wanted to run the ball, and they wanted to run it a lot. So you get your first carry. Jahmyr Gibbs goes 5 yards. Pretty good carry. All right, that's fine. That gains some yards. Second carry goes 7 yards. Okay, hey, we're in business now. Jahmyr Gibbs gets a first down, but wait a minute. Giovanni Ricci gets called for a hold. Now you're back. Now it's a 3rd and long. This is where I think things went really wrong. I think Dan Campbell probably should have passed the ball instead of ran the ball. But I know he wanted to get that run game going, and instead you get a 6-yard carry from Jahmyr Gibbs. It's 3rd and 9. Now the Rams know exactly what you want to do. You want to pass the ball, obviously. That's all you can really do in a 3rd and 9. And sure enough, 4-yard pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown because the Rams put on the pressure. They've got everybody over top, and there's just really nothing that you can do except get a pass and hope you can get some yards after the carry. That didn't work. On the second drive, 1st and 10, Jared Goff throws a moon ball. A beautiful ball to Jameson Williams. J-Mo catches that thing. It dives for it, catches it. It just doesn't land right, and it comes out. And and go back and watch that video. Just watch Jared Goff on that video because, dude, he gets lit up after that ball. He stood in there. I don't want to hear anybody say that this guy's scared of anything, man. This guy stood in there and got absolutely destroyed. And I'm surprised, honestly, that there wasn't a roughing the passer call. Maybe if that would have happened to somebody else, Patrick Mahomes or something like that, maybe that would have got called. I don't know. Maybe that's just reaching. But I thought he threw a heck of a ball in that play and got hit real hard. And That didn't work. Okay, so now it's 2nd and 10. Now you got to go back and you got to try something different. Lions get sacked. Tristan Colon gets absolutely blown up. And now it's 3rd and 22 before you know it. And what do you do? Like, what can you do? Obviously, they know you're going to pass. You can't make up a 22-yard. I mean, you can. It happens. We've seen it happen. But, like, it's really hard when everybody knows you're going to throw the ball to rack up a 22-yard catch. So they got a punt after that. And that's it. That was the only 2 offensive drives they had in the third round, or third quarter. Sorry, third round. Thinking about the draft already. Look at me. That was the only 2 reps they had, only 2 drives they had, in the third quarter. And then the Rams on the other side of the ball, they had 2 touchdowns. It's as simple as that. They had 1 drive that was just unbelievably quick and got right in the end zone. And then they had the controversial Kobe Parkinson touchdown that was, I don't know. I don't know what the heck happened there, but basically Dean Blandino's explanation, I think, was the dumbest thing I've ever heard, where essentially Parkinson catches the ball and then loses the ball, but then catches it again as he's on his knee, which apparently establishes where the catch was, or actually, no, he catches it, hits his knee, but then loses it, but then gets up off his knee and gets it back. And then that's apparently where he reestablishes the catch and gets into the end zone. I mean, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen the NFL do. And I've seen the NFL do some really dumb things. Like, for example, NFL officials went to the Lions coach's sideline in this game and told the Lions that if the receivers kept doing the nose picking celebration, they were going to get called for a penalty. They were more worried about nose-picking celebrations than they were about getting the right touchdowns, the right calls on some of the game's biggest plays. So, that's what it is for the Rams. I really thought that the Lions, the first half was perfect strategy. They did everything well. I even think in the fourth quarter they played really well too. It's just, what are you going to do? This Rams team was so explosive, and there was only so much you could do, and it was a game where you had to make as few mistakes as you possibly can, and that third quarter was just bad enough to where, hey, that's all it took. So let's move forward. Let's kind of forget that the Rams game ever happened. We'll move forward. Let's talk about the Steelers on Sunday, because I think this is a game where things match up pretty well for the Lions, actually. I think this is one of those games where the Lions could maybe do some real damage in this one. I got to first start on the run game, because we know that the Lions want to get the run game going. That's their most important thing that they want. You get the run game going, that sets up the pass, that sets up everything, the play action, everything the Lions want to do runs through how they can get Jahmyr Gibbs and this run game going. The good thing for the Lions is that, well, it's kind of looking like J.J. Watt is not going to play in this game. He has a punctured lung. A little bit of friendly fire from the Steelers training staff. Nick Herbig might not play in this game either. And then Derek Harmon is back at practice, was a limited participant. We'll see where that goes. And then the linebackers in the middle, Patrick Queen, who's their top linebacker, leads the league in missed tackles right now. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for the Lions to run the ball. But if I'm Detroit, if I'm Jahmyr Gibbs, if I'm Dan Campbell, my whole idea, once again, Bobby Brown prerogative in this game is you got to get around the sides. You got to attack the edges. And I think that's where the Steelers are going to be the weakest, because, again, they're not going to have Herbig, maybe, and they're most likely not going to have J.J. Watt. So get Jahmyr Gibbs around the edges in space. That's where he's done the most damage this year. He has 8 touchdowns running around the edges, getting into space, taking the long way around as opposed to running through the middle, where he's still been good. He's still been good through the middle. And I think the fact that Patrick Queen has struggled so much with missed tackles is where Jahmyr Gibbs is going to absolutely break some ankles in this game, or at least has the opportunity to do so. So that's kind of the game plan on offense. Get around the sides, get into space, make things happen. And then I would also, if I'm Jared Goff, I'm also attacking these linebackers in with some intermediate routes as well. But if you can get the run game going, that should open up some of the explosive plays that you're able to get. Defensively, well, Aaron Rodgers is back in town again, and it's been a while since the Lions have played him. We know what happened the last time that they did. It was the last game he ever played for the Packers. Kirby Joseph, interception, ends the game. Beautiful. Is Kirby going to play in this game? I don't know. At this point, you kind of got to lean no. That's just where we're at on this. We don't really know how bad the injury is, despite how much internet doctors want to tell you they know about it. They've never treated him. They've never looked at his x-rays. They've never had him read a magazine in their waiting room. They've never stayed. They don't know what the injury is. So it's bad. We know that the Lions couldn't play him last week because he practiced and then wound up not practicing the next day. We'll see what happens this week. It's got to be good. It's got to be good, right? That they have not put him on IR. If they put him on IR, then we know, hey, it's over, right? The season's done. It's not happening. But they haven't done that. It hasn't happened. And we don't know what's going to happen. If he could play this week, that would just be huge for this team. And the fact that you get probably Thomas Harper back, and then you got Damontae Kazee and Jalen Mills, and Avonte Maddox has been playing really well at safety. So there's some things that this Lions team can do at safety. But, man, I wonder if, you maybe do some free safety looks or something like that. You get some more guys out there. You got to stop getting burnt right now. The Lions are allowing the most explosive plays in the league. It's not good. It's not good. They're able to stop the run. They're able to get things done really well. Another example of how well they played against the Rams, which I know no one wants to believe because they allowed 41 points. They forced the Rams to have to win on fourth down. The problem is the Rams did win on fourth down, but the Lions were stopping them. First down, second down, third down. They didn't convert a third down to nearly the end of the third quarter. They were 0-6. So the Lions were doing the right things defensively, but they couldn't get out of their own way on fourth down. And some of those explosive plays came and beat them up later. So you got to stop that from happening against this Pittsburgh Steelers team who has DK Metcalf. We know what Metcalf can do. He can get down there. He can cause some havoc. And Jaylen Warren has some ability to do things in the pass game as well. I think stopping the run for the Lions is key in this game. Make sure that you make the Steelers one-dimensional as early as you can, get the lead out. Where I think what I think could happen in this game and what would really, I think, make Lions fans really excited is I think this could be one of those signature Aiden Hutchinson games that you look at and go, man, that guy is really good. And he's already been really good this season. I know everyone hates the pressure stat, but pressures are real. They're a real thing, and they count. They matter. But I look at a Steelers team that is starting their fourth left tackle at this point. Dylan Cook is an undrafted rookie free agent left tackle. He started for the Dolphins, for the Steelers against the Dolphins on Monday, and he played fairly well. But the Dolphins don't have Aiden Hutchinson. They don't have a defensive line much like the Lions do. And I mean, we just saw the Dolphins caught another edge rusher with Matthew Judon. So I think that all speaks for itself. But Aiden Hutchinson will then have to go up against a fourth string left tackle. And then Isaac Simolo, who is the Steelers starting left guard. He went out with a tricep injury in that game. We don't know what his status is at this point. Mike Tomlin said that on Tuesday that it was going to be kind of a touch and go situation. And maybe you see what happens during the week. If he's able to practice, maybe he plays. But if he doesn't, then it's Spencer Anderson, who was a second-year, seventh-round draft pick from last year. Hasn't really played a whole lot, hasn't really started a whole lot. This would be, I think, his fourth or fifth start. So Aiden Hutchinson then has to contend with a four-string left tackle and a backup left guard on that side of the defensive line. And you got to believe he can beat those guys. And that's why I think that you could see Hutchinson put up some sack numbers in this game for sure. And the other thing is just kind of bouncing off, thinking about that defensive line a little bit more, because they're going to double team, they're going to triple, they're going to chip Hutchinson as much as they can. Excuse me, getting over something here. They're going to double and triple and chip Hutchinson as much as they can. That's where Al-Quadin Muhammad and Marcus Davenport and whoever else is going to be out there, Roy Lopez, Aleem McNeil, they got to win their one-on-one opportunities, and they're going to get them. And the good thing is, if you go to that other side of the Steelers' offensive line, that's where the majority of their sacks and pressure is coming from. So they're getting beat up on both sides of this line. If Al-Quadin Muhammad can take advantage of the one-on-one opportunities that Aiden Hutchinson is going to get him, well, then the Steelers have to kind of spread things out a little bit, and that should get Hutchinson some one-on-one opportunities against that four-string left tackle. And if that happens, then, man, he's going to beat that guy. And I think this could, this could be a very, very good game for the Lions defensive line, and they need it because, as we know, they've got the injuries in the secondary right now, and they need as much time to cover as they can. And the Lions need to make sure that Aaron Rodgers has as little time to throw as he can. So we'll see where that goes. That's kind of what I'm thinking in terms of that game. But we'll see where it goes. I think this is a very, very winnable game for the Lions. And I made a video about this earlier in the week, but the Lions have a really good chance of not only making the playoffs, but winning the NFC North. I know everyone thinks that's just insane, but it can happen if the Lions win 3 games in a row. I mean, it starts there. Lions have to take care of their own business. You got to win 3 games in a row. You got to do it. If you can't do it, you're out. But if they do win 3 games in a row, they're 94% chance. They have a 94% chance to make the playoffs. That's pretty good. 94%. What do you think, TikTok? You like that? It's pretty good. If the Bears lose, or if the Bears beat the Packers on Saturday, and then the Bears lose to the San Francisco 49ers the next week, and the Packers lose a game to the Baltimore Ravens, who are a team that needs to win, has to win to make the playoffs in a division that has no separation in it whatsoever. The Steelers are kind of a must-win situation against the Lions on Sunday too. But the Ravens have to beat the Packers. They want to win that division to make the playoffs. That's the only way they can get in. So if the Bears beat the Packers, the Ravens beat the Packers, that's 2 losses for the Packers. If the 49ers beat the Bears, and then the Lions beat the Bears at the end of the season, that's 2 losses for the Bears, 3 wins for the Lions, 2 losses for the Bears, 2 losses for the Packers. Lions are NFC North champions. The Green Bay Packers missed the playoffs. It can happen. It's that simple. And look at this Packers team. You can't tell me that that's not possible with a team that just lost arguably the best defensive player in the game right now. Micah Parsons has been, outside of Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons has been the best defensive player in the NFL. He's been unbelievable for that Packers team. With him gone, plus this team doesn't have Devontae Wyatt, that defensive line on Green Bay is kind of susceptible. And then if you go look on that offense, Zach Tom's hurt. Christian Watson's hurt. That's their starting right tackle, their number 1 receiver. Green Bay is in the worst possible situation that they could be in right now. And the Bears almost beat them last time. And that is with Parsons. That is with Tom and Watson and all those guys. So you got to look at this and think, man, I think the Bears team has a much better chance to beat the Packers this time. And that Ravens team, they're so wishy-washy. But, man, in a must-win game, that's when teams show up. And I got to say, with the Ravens having it at home, I mean, it just makes such a big difference. I got to go with the Ravens. And I think this 49ers team that no one's paying attention to is pretty good. Nobody's even talking about how good the 49ers have been this year. And I absolutely think they can beat the Bears. And if those things happen, man, if the Lions can just think about that for a second. Just dream with me for a second. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Think about a world where the Lions win the NFC North in a year that everyone thought they weren't going to make the playoffs, and they knocked the Packers out? And they knocked the Packers out. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's what everybody wants. It's what the whole world wants. It's what Chicago wants. It's what Detroit wants. It's what Minnesota wants. It's what the NFL wants. The NFL is tired of the Packers. Or maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm just saying stuff at this point. But it's really a possibility. And if you're, it's just, man, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's you got to beat the Steelers. You got to beat the Vikings, and you got to beat a team that you already dropped 52 points on earlier in the year. The Lions, among all these teams, have the easiest remaining schedule. They just got to do the work. They got to make it happen. And I think it all starts with a win over the Steelers, and we'll see where it goes. But I don't know. Let's see what happens. If anybody has any questions to throw me, I would love to answer some questions. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. While I wait for some questions to come in, if questions come in, I'm going to take this quick opportunity to talk about John Cena. I loved the way that John Cena's last match was. I got to say, I know this is a Lions thing, but like while I wait for questions to come in, I got to say, I love the way that John Cena's career ended. I'm a big fan of Cena. You know, you kind of want to feel him go out with a win and all that stuff. And I get that, man. Like, it's a happy, good, great moment. But him tapping out to Gunther at the end of that match, it absolutely it built Gunther up to being probably one of the biggest heels this company has ever seen, wrestling has ever seen. It could springboard him to a place that is beyond what Roman Reigns was at a few years ago. So that's all I'm going to say about wrestling. That's all I got to say about that. I don't see any questions coming in from Lions fans today. So we will wrap this one up. We'll see you again next week. We're going to do Friday after Christmas. So the day after Christmas, we'll see what happens. And yeah, so I won't see any of you guys until then, but have a good Christmas, a happy Hanukkah. Whatever holiday that you celebrate, have a good one. So we'll see you then.